Hi, hello, and welcome to Revolving Door series brought to you by Vertex of Abundance. My name is the Priestess excuse me. My name is Priestess Ablosi. I'll be your oracle today, and I was sent to deliberate my findings for the Revolving Door Divine Masculine Medicine. So this is coming out during a masculine corridor, which is most of Aquarius. So the Aquarius full moon around the 3rd of August. It'll terminate around within 30 days, so around the 2nd, 3rd of September. So the guidance, the findings this month will be the masculine, and the guidance this month will be the feminine. Next month, since the full moon will be the sign after Aquarius, which is Pisces, it'll be that the findings are feminine and the guidance is masculine. It alternates each month. The side further away from the camera is the divine masculine, the side closer to the camera is the divine feminine, and it's the revolving door, which is more of the karmic false twin flame aspect of the connection. It could also talk about the twin flame connection, the divine partnership, the catalytic, but it'll talk about the parts of healing that we need to experience in order to activate the higher or subtle or lighter aspect of the connection. Okay, and I will be deliberating my findings from Lady Frida Harris's Thoth Tarot, created by Aleister Crowley, and I will be imposing the guidance from Sacred Rebel Oracle by Alana Fairchild. If I need any type of clarification, I'll be using the Carolyn Miss archetypes. So it's an 11 by 11 card spread. Let us begin. Again, my name is Priestess Ablosi. I'll be your oracle today. Okay, great. If anything that is said resonates deeply with you, go ahead and check the show notes. I could be reached at baba@ablosi.org. The Mystery School is oracle at vertexofabundance.org. If there's any promotions or if the appointments are open, that information will be in the show notes as well. We're on Ratchet protocols, meaning we're rather messy and inelegant. The website is messy and inelegant. The channel right now is messy and inelegant. Let's get this out. Let us begin. Okay, so just checking the cycle here. We really did get Aquarius and we got the descending energy. So I'm curious to see how the connection comes through. What is the shared energy for the connection? This revolving door. Okay, now let's Lisa. Great Mother, please give us the shared energy for the revolving door. August 2020. Sacred Fool. Sacred Fool number 40. I'll be reading to you from number 40 from Alana Fairchild's Sacred Rebel Guidebook on page 156, titled Sacred Fool. The fool is a great rebel, able to thwart convention and tell the truth without restraint. Your heart is a wonderful, powerful, sacred fool. It cares not for the right way to do things. It cares not for what the mind says is real and not real. It lives according to an inner wisdom that cannot be dictated to or controlled by anything. It loves, it lives, and it is what it is. This is on the grounds of Dream Within a Dream, Shock of the New, and perfection. We have a lot of Vestal command, which is like 3 6s and 9s, and we also have 110, which is the Garden of Eden. Something tells me that what we're focusing on right now is the darkness here and the connection, and that it might be advantageous to just work through whatever it is and take self-accountability for what you can change and not take inventory of other people, because understand that you're both manifesting shadow or reflecting shadow to be healed. Okay. The focus on the masculine side, I'm finding that they're committing to conflict or opposition, and the feminine is committing to receiving or experiencing or petitioning collaboration. The masculine also is we have the energies out. We have the strength, the tower, the sun, the devil. There's the feminine. We have the magician, the Hierophant, the death card, the hangman, and the star card. So we do not have the full connection here. And we're not going to get it this month. We have 25% of the connection. So this is a month of cleansing. If we didn't have a block, which is the black card, I would continue until as much of the connection came out as the black card. So the file is closed. I mean, I can access it, but I can't share it. So what we'll do is we'll pull an archetype. Great Spirit, Divine Mother, Melissa Colisa, give us an archetype for the revolving door for August. We have gossip and mother. So I heard smothering. And before I was already talking about it, and now it's out. This oracle heralds a time now or imminent when you feel inspired, alive, and passionate for what you can offer to the world. It says to you, do not try to be appropriate, do not try to be socially acceptable, and worry about what others may think about what you are doing. Just be. If you want to wear a mad hat whilst doing so, fine. So we're entering in this cycle here with a breakdown, because the masculine is committing to giving conflict or confrontation or objections or opposition. They're also committed to, well, they're not committed, but they are also, but this is, even if they're committed to giving opposition, what it's doing is it's driving, it's giving a big energy for not quite collaboration, but a sacred energy exchange through mechanisms of the heart, especially. And we enter in this cycle here, whatever was concluding the last cycle, it was like an awakening, a harsh awakening. Something might have also died too, and it would have been disbelief or a decrustation, a dismantleization of a way of engaging. The way that the love was happening before, it activated some type of awakening, and the awakening was more on the masculine side. So the masculine is dealing with how to access their power, especially their love power, their divine power, especially in relation to Shakti. The feminine is mirroring that back. I would advise the feminine to be firm with beliefs. because the masculine is trying different thoughts, different thinking, different communication, and it's accumulating and ascending and accomplishing and completing their knowledge of their own spiritual power, all of it, not just any one spiritual power, not just any one talent, all of it. The culmination and congruency of it together. So the feminine should mirror back. I would advise the feminine to mirror back a strong belief system, because as like I said, when we were entering into this cycle, the masculine was coming into a awakening. Rather harsh. It might have been sudden and abrupt, and it would have been movements, progress, expansion of fidelity. It doesn't mean like monogamy. Fidelity would mean feelings of likeness and sameness in respect to this connection. So over the last 3 weeks, since whenever you watch this video for the first time, over the last 3 weeks, on the feminine, they've been experiencing growth, expansion, vitality, renewal, expansion, reinvigoration. The masculine's been having multiple awakenings, or just a few. The masculine, the conflict, obstacle, objection, challenge, the crossing here, the masculine is seeking to understand fully their power, to embody fully their power, whatever they're manifesting, it is going to happen. It's going to come through for sure, for sure. The situation is such that their focus is about wishes coming true, faith, hope, optimism, according to their strength on a spiritual level, their spirit, karma, life, path, destiny. There's something that they want to manifest. It can be a divorce. Others, it can be a transition. Others, it can be the mastery, self-mastery. It might also be that they've had up until recently difficulties communicating. Logically, ideas, they would have communicated loving. They would have been very loving. Now, also, their authentic self is coming forward, their highest self too, their heavenly self, celestial self. So you may have been perceiving or projecting onto the feminine. I would advise you not to perceive, not to project a loving individual. It's not that they're not loving, but they are not warm and fuzzy, even if that's what you would label as your experiences. The masculine I'm finding, let me put it that way. Masculine, I'm finding that the bigger, brighter, and better for you has an authentic self of being rather cold and prickly, being rather judgmental, not in a sense where you commit to giving judgment, but your judgment is keen and it's settled. You know what it is, you've made a decision, you're going to rule from the place of that decision. Because the sacrifice to be made is to have a transition, a physical transition. There may be a renewal of a business system, a structure. You may be moving houses. There may be a windfall, an inheritance, because I'm hearing the word executive, and that could be an executor. So there may be an Aquarius sun sign who inherits a will, inherits from a will or something. I'm hearing the word pour over will trust agreement. So this is a trust. This is a trustafarian here. Somebody who has been rather immature or rather dependent, where just enough was just enough and now they have a whole lot, and they might freeze up or withdraw slightly. Their energy may change outwardly, look or appear differently for a while they reconcile to this new normal. They've gone from a child to an adult, a grown-ass man overnight. At least in one facet, it would be the material nature. It can be that the mother died and that there's a lot of bickering, cheating, fighting, backstabbing. They need to fend off hungry demons. I'm hearing the word Raksha. Okay, so masculine, I'm finding that there's an awakening or a upheaval where actions need to be taken where you move in, travel into, or come in and assume command of a situation, probably executing of a will, a trust, etc. Now, alternatively, a different read would be there's been multiple awakenings since the last part of the cycle. So prior to this cycle on the 3rd, it would have been from July 3rd upwards until about August 3rd. There might have been an upheaval, a shocking event, something sudden. It could have been a death. Tower and the Sun card together mean death, especially when there's any 10 on the board, and definitely with the death card. There was a death for some of you, the masculine. Not the masculine, but I feel like the masculine had a mother figure die in the last 30, 45 days. Or it will happen a week before, for most of you, a week before September 2nd. So onwards from the 21st of August. Now, for some of them, if it's a mother figure, especially somebody who was rather mean and cruel or controlling when they were more healthy, they're going to hang on for a while, and it's going to only last about 7 to 10 days. I would advise that you terminate support. Now, I just need to say I'm not a medical professional. I'm looking at it spiritually. Okay, yeah, go ahead and cut it. Because they're not going to the good place. They're going to the dark room. It just means there's a lot of dirt on their soul. There's a lot of cleansing and cleaning and purification. And if that's something that's displeasing to hear, my apologies. I would advise that you connect with me, baba@ablosi.org. There is a way to do prayers, to free up a soul, to go to the higher realm. They're not going to intentionally go. The dirt needs to be removed off their spirit. There's too much of a mark, too much of a blemish on them. They're more attracted to material things, temporal things, and darker things. Things that take power, divide power, disunify. Things that are rather petro, meaning fighting, aggressive, which is great for protection, but Radha is clean, pure, soteriology, savior, soul savior. This is not. This is so the sun, the masculine, is very clean, very pure, and the evolving incident, meaning towards the end of the cycle, around the 3rd, you're going to be dealing with the death coming in the next week, or dealing with the death that happened in the last week, right around the 3rd. So remember I was saying the 21st onwards, that's the 25th, 26th, 27th, that corridor opens up for the death is with them, death be upon them. Excuse me, I retract that statement. Peace be upon them, death is with them. Okay, listen, I'm qualified to say that in terms of a spiritual level. However, am not a medical professional. Okay, I'm hearing no attachments at the time of death, no holding on, no trying to extend life support, because you're binding. This is a dark room spirit, very and we do have the spirit of black witches, dark witches. And some men, especially ones in the divine connection, they can be fairy. What does that mean? It means the fairy is a child of an angel and a demon. So it can be that the daddy was positive, light, good, Glinda the good witch, and then mommy was evil. Or it can mean that daddy might have been more earth seed, mommy was more star seed, and mommy did too many bad spells, or had too many negative intentions, or did too many evil eyes. It can mean that she was a hater once upon a time, or greedy, selfish, whatever, and that she never cleansed herself, purified herself. You can only receive karma in the same mind frame, the same vibration of which you arrived at it. So they're living, marinating in Ooga Booga nasty darkness. The mother figure here. It can be grandmother, to a lesser degree sister. It would be older sister, all the same. It would be older female, all the same. This masculine, you are younger. Now, okay, if there's no death, because I spent a little time there, it would mean that there's been a lot of inciting incidents in terms of awakening, and there's a lot of growing up through growing through. There's a lot of growing up into bigger, brighter, and better. However, it's going to be somewhat traumatic, and it will be healing from crisis, leaving survival mode. So if you're not dealing with death and transition, you're dealing with healing from crisis, moving through survival mode. You will be terminating some physical location of the past if you're not receiving an inheritance. So you're leaving behind an old home, a old job, an old marriage, an old union, an old, it can't even be society or group or league or club if you'd been there upwards of 10 years, maybe since early childhood, 13 onwards. So if you're, let's say, 26, 27, 46, 47, you were in something for 10 years or more, or in something since your childhood, if you're not dealing with death, which is, it's going to be sudden, but it won't be a surprise. Okay? Now, feminine, because I was reading to the masculine because it's his month, their month, gender non-binary, hey. You know, let's go through it again and how to mirror to hold the space. Sound fair? Great. So homeboy's gonna experiencing some, like, you know, upheaval. Now it can be dismantleization of structures. It would have been a loving structure. They had some tie, some bond to an older female that was not healthy, hasn't been healthy, wasn't going to be healthy. Okay. And the situation is as such where you need to hold the space for illumination, enlightenment, vitality, reinvigoration. You need to give them sanctuary of healing, be the Ingading, be the chosen, be the promised land where they return to wash themselves anew. Boo. And the richness of the situation is that it may be difficult at some time to continue to give beliefs, to continue to agree to this equally beneficial nourishing needs exchange when they need to be rather isolated, they need to be rather selfish, and it may feel feminine, like with affection is being withheld. That's okay. It's temporary. Do you understand? Upwards of 28 days, they may need to withdraw their affection. And listen to me, Queen. I don't tolerate people hearing the answer and trying to avoid it. If somebody needs to withdraw affection, don't take that personal unless that's an agreement that you have that they won't withdraw affection for too long. Feeling the need to have real estate in their heart like that, to, you know, you're not in charge of how they allocate the resources of their love, because if they can be self-loving, it increases the speed of the healing and it deepens it as well. So, I mean, it's fine. You're either growing together or growing apart. Connections, relationships, they ebb and they flow. See, what's not okay is if it grows apart by accident, meaning lacking an intention. Whatever they experience, too many awakenings, too many upheavals, too many transitions, or an actual bona fide death, they're gonna need to be isolated in some of their emotions, because that's where the healing is gonna be, because there's aspects of themselves they are experiencing, learning, and coming into contact for. There's gonna be parts of their nature where they're giving labels to for the first time. So offer support when it's an equally beneficial nourishing exchange, meaning when they come to you for a little bit of clarity, give, and give freely. But don't run down, chase down, and don't tisk, tisk, tisk. Start inventorying, labeling, mislabeling, misjudging, misperceiving, because they needed to withdraw some energy. Now, some of them would have had something secretive happen. It will come to the surface. You will be made known what it is. But don't be the smother mother. Don't do it. And especially, like, as a divine partner, it's not your job. If you got to love on them like a mama, you shouldn't be touching the genitals. If you need to heal them, you shouldn't be touching their genitals. Now, showing up, being present, participating in the circumstance, in the situation, in the connection, your life itself, your vibration itself, your ashe itself should be enough for the healing. I'm not saying you can't heal. I'm not saying that. Chasing down to heal, showing up in a loving relationship with intimacy, with the intention to heal, that's the problem. If you need to heal them, don't touch the genitals. Now, there will be circumstances, situations where healing is needed, and your life itself should be an example worth following. Your energy itself should be a story worth telling. Your mouthpiece should not be doing the healing, and it should not be intentional either. You hold space for their healing. They should be able to communicate what their needs are. Labeling their experiencing, mislabeling, misjudging, misperceiving their experience, taking their inventory, that's not healing, that's nagging and smothering. Let it be known, it must be said. I have spoken, and so it is. The challenge, the conflict, the obstacle, the crossing here, there's a little bit of dogma, and there is a lot of mislabeling, misjudging, misperceiving. The sacrifice is just got nothing but love for your baby. Ain't got nothing but love for your baby. Okay, so just be loving. Be loving. Mutually beneficial nursing needs to change. You're in this. You're committed to this. You're the receptive partner. This is a month where things get cut off at the pass. The devil is going to try to come through and take over things. They may become combative with you if you put too much energy on them. Even trying to be supportive and helpful. I'm not saying withdraw your energy and leave them to suffer. Be there, be available, don't push. Don't mislabel, don't misjudge, don't misperceive. Ask more questions, and don't do so from a nagging standpoint either. Hey, honey, I'm over here. I know you're down right now. I can see that you're withdrawing a little affection. Maybe you need some time alone. Do you need some space? Okay, well, if you have some needs, I'm sure you'll let me know. I'm over here when you need it. Versus touching them more, checking on them more, giving them more gifts, giving them more, whatever you do to, display affection. To be honest, a little bit more words of affirmation here, of course, quality time too, but it's not going to be acts of service too much. It's not going to be physical touch. Physical touch is going to be gone this month, this cycle. Cycle being from the 3rd to the 2nd of next month. 3rd of this month, August, the 2nd of September next month. It completely concludes itself by the 3rd, this cycle of the revolving door. Okay? Now, the evolving situation on into next month, it's going to be, you will have to be, okay, I'm hearing the word unf-withable. Okay, what I'm picking up is that you get a little smothery feminine, and the masculine withdraws even more than they initially withdraw, because they just withdraw to kind of inventory their feelings. I'm like that. I don't want anybody labeling my experience until I've labeled it myself. Even if you know I just suffered a tragedy, if I withdraw my energy, don't come looking for me trying to give me no nothing. Even if you think it's helpful. I'll ask for my needs when I've processed my feelings. If somebody comes around trying to, kumbaya lullaby because I suffered a tragedy with me, that's just going to agitate me. I consider that interference and interruption, and it's not welcome. This is a person who thinks from their third eye on the masculine side. This is a person who thinks from their womb on the feminine side. Someone who thinks from their womb is going to want to connect and receive support. Someone who thinks from their third eye is going to want to withdraw and reflect. That's what they feel, that's how they feel supported. That's more of a self-oriented action. And I'm detecting in 3 different ways that is going to be a conflict on the feminine. It's going to make them feel a little bit, you need to see things from a different perspective, because you're not an avoidant lover. So you're an anxious lover. So when something happens that's discordant feminine, well, you're going to go towards counterphobic. You're not going to withdraw your energy like an avoidant nervous type. Okay, so what's going to happen is you're going to meet some shadow. And to be honest, this could also be, if there is an inheritance, a windfall is the word. Windfall is the word I'm hearing. Windfall. It can be that they're fighting off a lot of other relatives. It's calling them hungry ghosts, greedy ass motherfuckers. You hear me? So again, Be supporting with strength. Your life itself should be an example worth following. Your energy itself should be a story worth telling. Just be strong. Inequality issues are affecting the relationship. As cheating, bickering, backstabbing, biting, jealousy, both of those combinations are here. Self-isolation on the masculine side. The feminine is going to try to connect, try to connect, try to connect. It's going to get pushed back and it's going to hurt. So evolve into the next cycle with around this event, whatever it is, the windfall or the if an awakening happens and there is no death, it's what's going to happen is an awakening happens, they get excited, they go out to manifest it, there's some transition, and then the shadow comes up. They need to confront something alive in themselves, some type of secret, some type of shadow, some type of disproportionate power dynamic, some type of karma where their power is in another person's hands, or they're too powerful and they're not using their power correctly. And it's going to happen the very last week of this cycle. I'm hearing the 23rd onwards, a lot of you the 25th, 26th, 27th. The sacred fool in you is willing to leave behind what has been because it no longer feels right to stay attached to it. The sacred fool in you trusts life completely. It would never occur to this part of you to try to outsmart life or resist the flow. It recognizes that the mind is a monkey puppet on strings. More often than not, it is cajoled into fear when it might be playfully dwelling in the radical spontaneity of life. So the sacred fool in you urges your mind to let itself be pulled into joy by your heartstrings, not into fear and doubt by the controlling mechanisms of mass media or the mind. This oracle brings you a message. It is time for you to play. It is time for you to let life happen in a completely unreserved, unscripted way. The more bizarre or left of field, unexpected, and apparently ridiculous, the better. This might not feel safe or appropriate at first. That is okay. This is good, actually. It is a sign that you're breaking with your own self-imposed convictions. It is time to move beyond them now because a bigger life adventure is calling you. This is wonderful news. It is the desire of life to operate more radically through you so that you become the conduit through which miracles and crazy wild synchronicities can occur. You are becoming more electric. You are more plugged into the apparent randomness of life. Apparent because there is a refined intelligence behind it all. The sacred fool goes with this without having to understand any of it, which is good. Trying to assess even one genuine glimpse of life's unfathomable genius would probably make one's head explode. As you take this journey, you may find that people around you are challenged. You might unintentionally cause them to rethink the way they live their lives. They may question whether the way they are living is the one or is the only way in which is for them, even if it's at all best. At first, they may react rather than take responsibility. The sacred fool in you does not engage with this. It is what it is. It rises and it falls at will. It does not stop you from the merry dance of unconventional being. So what I'm hearing is that there's going to be an event where you need to be playful and open and free and be sanctuary for the other in the connection. Also, they may become fearful if there's not a death. They may become fearful. And you may need to withdraw your energy from their shadow and their fear because you can't give to it. You may need to model your freedoms. You are going to need to have strength, courage, and wisdom to overcome because any faith, hope, and optimism is going to turn into pessimism because they're going to be in a crisis mode. Okay, you're going to have growth, vitality, expansion, renewal because you're going to have a lot of charisma. And what's unfortunate is you're going to need to also have power and strength for others and be an advocate for this person, feminine. So gossip. Instead of thriving on power, passing on private and secret information or betraying confidences, awaken to the considerations of trust and honor and honor the feelings of others. Instead of smothering and abandoning or instilling guilt when somebody withdraws or is acting independent, nurture patience and unconditional love, and have joy in giving and in expressing life. Okay, it's been an honor and a pleasure to serve you. Thank you for allowing me the privilege to do so. Again, if anything that was said resonates deeply with you, I can be reached at baba@ablosi.org. Also, Oracle at verticalabundance.org for the mystery school. If there's any type of resources or specials or whatever, the information should be in the show notes. Until we meet again, namaste, dandavat, and ashe. Peace be with you. Take good care. Bye-bye.